very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News. You're with me, Ashani De Silva. Let's start off with a quick look at headlines. A protest demanding a free and fair election staged opposite the election secretariat. Official ballot papers to be handed over to the Postal Department on the 20th. Expenditure details in the use of SLTB buses for a presidential election rally in Anuradhapura sought by the election secretariat. From joy to outrage, Florida's Cuban Americans greet new U.S. policy. Now on to your stories in detail. A protest was staged opposite the election secretariat this afternoon. Our correspondent said that party leaders amid members of the common opposition engaged in the protest. The demonstrators demanded for an equal platform to contest the presidential polls. They also requested that the law not be allowed to be violated by the misuse of state property. The demonstrators requested that justice be meted out accordingly. Although the group attempted to hand over a letter to the Elections Commissioner with these details, the Commissioner was not in the office at the time. Moving on into some weather news now. Water levels in several reservoirs in the Anuradhapura district have risen due to the heavy rain that prevailed through the past few days. Our correspondent in the area reported that the spill gates of several reservoirs have been opened.
Due to the heavy rains that prevailed, 6 out of the 30 spill gates of the Rajangana reservoir were opened. Our correspondent stated that 2 of the spill gates were opened by 3 feet each and the other 4 by 2 feet each. Both spill gates of the Angamo reservoir have been opened. Meanwhile, 6 spill gates of the Nachadu reservoir and 2 spill gates of the Mahankanda reservoir in Mihintale have also been opened. Several alternate routes to Anuradhapura have been inundated owing to the increase in water levels in the Malwatu Oya in Anuradhapura. Meanwhile, low-lying areas and several houses in Savastipura, Anuradhapura have been inundated due to the increase in the water levels of Yoda Ala. 16 out of the 20 spill gates of the Thabbo reservoir have been opened as well. According to our correspondent, 10 spill gates have been opened by 6 feet each and the other 6 by 3 feet each. While the water from the reservoir feeds into Mari Oya, the Talalvila Bridge road to the number 1 village in Thapoa has also been inundated. Meanwhile, several large reservoirs under the purview of the Vaunia Irrigation Department have reached spill level. Our correspondent stated that several reservoirs including Pavankulama, Mankanda, Mamadua, Erat Periakulama, Vannikulama reservoirs as well as 280 other small reservoirs have also begun spilling over. Owing to this, a large area of paddy fields have been inundated and Vaunia District Secretary N.K. Bandula Harishchandra has assured that in case of a sudden disaster situation, they are prepared to take necessary measures.
The Election Secretariat says that official polling cards will be handed over to the Postal Department on the 20th of this month. Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amaradasa said that this will be carried out by the relevant district elections officers. He added that the distribution of polling cards is scheduled to conclude on the 31st of this month.
Post offices of relevant areas and districts will take up the task of distributing official polling cards after the 20th of this month. The 28th of this month will be considered as the date for the distribution of these polling cards. The 31st of this month is scheduled as the final day to distribute these cards. Polling cards will not be distributed thereafter. Therefore, those who did not receive their polling cards should collect their cards from a post office by proving their identity.
Meanwhile, the Election Secretariat added that authorities of organizations are legally bound to provide employees with leave to cast their ballots if permission is requested in writing. Speaking to Newsfirst, Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amaradasa had this to say.
A minimum of 4 hours leave should be granted to an employee by an employer in line with the relevant election laws, and the time period could be amended taking into consideration the distance between the polling centre and the residence of the employee. We have also informed all district officers that employers are legally bound to grant leave for a considerable period of time if the employee requests for leave in writing. Steps should also be taken to display a notice regarding the granting of leave upon request, and the leave should be considered as paid leave by the employer.
The Department of the Registration of Persons says that steps will be taken in the coming weeks to issue national identity cards for those who do not possess the same ahead of the upcoming presidential polls.
We have received a total of 75,000 application forms by the 15th of this month. We are in the process of issuing ID cards for these applicants. We hope that we will be able to issue ID cards to applicants by the coming 5 to 6 days. We are trying our best to issue ID cards for those applications that we received after the 15th of December. We will issue temporary identity cards before the 8th of January if we are not able to issue these applicants with permanent ID cards.
Meanwhile, the expenditure details in the use of Sri Lanka Transport Board buses for a presidential election rally in Anuradhapura have been sought by the Election Secretariat. When News First inquired into this matter from the Election Secretary Mahinda Deshapriya, he noted that he had received invoices of buses taken on hire to the tune of 25 million rupees. Questions and allegations were raised in relation to the use of SLTB buses for a rally held in Anuradhapura by the UPFA. Chairperson of the SLTB, speaking to News First yesterday, said that the invoices will be handed over to the Elections Commissioner after the Elections Commissioner made inquiries in this regard from the SLTB. Moving on into more election-related news, a public rally of the Common Opposition was held in Alpitia yesterday.
A number of public representatives from the opposition were present for this rally.
All the sectors in the country have depleted. The morals of this country have been destroyed. The status of mothers and women have been tarnished by this government. This era is known for the increase in child molestation and female harassment. Massive destruction was caused by the government's Pradesha Sabha members, provincial councillors and the other higher ranks. There is no punishment for anything. Is there a law in the country? ඊට ඉහළ අය මොන තරම් මේ විනාශයන් කළාද ඒ කිසි දෙයකට දඬුවමක් නැහැ මේ රටේ නීතියක් තියනවද ජනතාවට කියන්නේ එකක් කරන්නේ එකක් දේශපාලනඥයෝට බෑ බොරු කියලා. They say one thing to the people and do another. Politicians cannot lie and obtain votes. If they do not do what they promise, they must go home. This is a system that casts aside all your aspirations and hopes. We are opposed to this system.
දැන් බලන්න ක්‍රීඩාවටත් කොච්චර දේශපාලනීකරණය කරලා වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා. මට පහුගිය දිනක
Sports too has been politicized. During the past few days, veteran sportsmen contacted me and said that they are being influenced to take part in the promotional campaign for the president's election campaign. Such a process destroyed the sportsmen in 2010. The World Cup is not far away and we condemn the operations of this government to put down the sportsmen mentally.
ක්‍රීඩකයන්ව විනාශ කරා. අද ලෝක කුසලානයක් ළඟ තියෙනකොට මේ ක්‍රීඩකයන්ගේ මානසිකත්වය වටලා තමන්ගේ දේ කරගන්න මේ රජය කරන ක්‍රියාදාමය ගැන අපි පිළිකුලෙන් හෙලා දකින්න ඕනේ. ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණෙන් අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අපේක්ෂකයෙක් කැඳවගෙන
He is hoping to bring in a candidate from the JVP and another from the TNA and another from a separate party and make this a battle. This was what he planned 2 years ago. Now the battle has started. The entire country is in accord with a common candidate who can provide a common leadership. I did lie, saying that I will not go. I told not to take notice of what they said. They said, do not go with him, and that I have a good character and a good name. The people of Sri Lanka respect you. So Rajitha, do not fall for that trap. He did not know that the others fell into my trap.
construction of houses for those who were displaced by the Koslanda tragedy will commence today.
Badula District Secretary Rohana Disanayaka noted that 75 new houses will be built under this initiative. Disanayaka noted that residents who lost their houses in the Koslanda landslide tragedy will receive these houses. The District Secretary added that the houses will be constructed on a property that was being selected in the Poonagala area in Bandarawela.
Meanwhile, a special security program has been implemented in lieu of the influx of people to the city of Colombo for the festive season. Speaking to Newsfirst, police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana had this to say.
A special security and traffic arrangement is implemented in respect of the Colombo city for festive season, and apart from that we have the same plan in other major cities such as Kandy, Galle, Matara, Kegol and Anuradhapura. We have a special security plan. We have deployed police officers at the places where musical shows or other activities are conducted, and in addition to that we have deployed additional traffic officers also on the road. We have designed a special car parks for vehicle parking, and the road users, especially the visitors, the drivers of the vehicles are requested to park their vehicle in the proper place, in the authorized car parks. Otherwise, especially in the Colombo city, if it is an unauthorized parking place, the car or the vehicle will be towed to the nearest police station. And in addition to that, we are hoping to implement a special operation in respect of drunk drivers. It will be operated round the clock in the near future.
The Ministry of Defence and Urban Development convened a media briefing today, at which views were expressed regarding the program to issue identity cards ahead of the upcoming presidential poll.
It has been reported that a large number of people in 3 districts including Nuwara and Badula don't have identity cards. Because of this, we provided several mobile services. Even now in Jaffna, this program is being carried out. Up to now, the number that has been received is around 75,000. Actually, according to the Article 14 of the Special Elections Ordinance, identification is compulsory. But to do so, we need the application forms on time. This is where I have a huge problem. Because of this, we need to go use alternate methods.
At
the media briefing, the Antonov aircraft crash was also discussed.
Investigation into the crash is still ongoing. We haven't received a report on it yet. Because we haven't received the final report, we cannot volunteer any more questions.
What is the situation with the investigation? What happened to the black box?
There need not be any doubt of that. The black box is actually orange in color. It is indeed orange in color. We have retrieved the unit known as the black box. This is being investigated.
You're watching Lunchtime News on MTV Sports. Taking a look at your sports stories now. Sri Lankan cricket team depart the country on a tour of New Zealand as part of the World Cup preparations. Uncapped 21-year-old off-spinner Tharindu Kaushal has been named in Sri Lanka's squad for the tour of New Zealand, while uncapped quick Dushmantha Chamira also earns a place.
Sri Lanka captain Angelo Matthews and his team received a traditional Buddhist blessing before setting off on a tour of New Zealand as part of their World Cup preparations. Sri Lanka skipper Matthews insists that the Sri Lankan team will be concentrating on the 2 tests and 7 one-day internationals against the Black Caps before they start to concentrate on the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand beginning in February. Sri Lanka will be without their talisman Mahela Jayawardene, who recently retired from Test matches, and Matthews admitted that he is confident that the newcomers will perform well and added that Sangakkara's presence adds strength to the lineup. Jayawardene will join the team for the One-Day Internationals and the World Cup before retiring from all forms of the game, while veteran Kumar Sangakkara has also announced that he will retire from One-Day Internationals after the World Cup.
And on that note, we wrap up lunchtime news for today. Join us again at 1:55 as we keep you in the loop of the latest. I'm Ashani De Silva. Have a nice day.
Hotline 0114.